This is the Instant Speed Podcast, episode number 53. Our guests today will be none other than Mitch, Uber Leslie, and the Tannon Grace. We're going to be talking about the Goliath Gauntlet, as well as digging into some of the new cards that were revealed over the course of a few days over here. But before that, I want to let you know that all of our episodes are always brought to you by kayfabecards.com. And you know what else is brought to you by kayfabecards.com? The Goliath Gauntlet is brought to you by kayfabecards.com. It is the place to go for your flesh and blood needs, but not just that, it's all your trading card needs. Go check them out at kayfabecards.com and get your coolest card-related swag and stuff shipped directly to your door. I promise you, you want to go check them out. Very good people are behind that business, and if I'm not mistaken, I hear through the grapevine that they have renovated. The store is bigger, nastier, awesomer, and has the coolest wrestling Pokemon mural on the wall. I promise you. Go to kayfabecards.com. All right, so let's get to the news, the facts as they were. It is Fab's third birthday, as you saw some of the videos circulating of the team led by James White just saying thank you for 3 years. But you know the game goes deeper than that, right? But that's a whole other conversation. Ultimately, 3 years of flesh and blood, and we are all thankful for that. They're doing some giveaways. If you go to FabTCG on Twitter, check out some of the contests that they got going on. There's some cool stuff that you can win. You want to go check that out. Dynasty card drops. Now, the spoiler season for Dynasty has been set. I mean, the cards are going to be revealed by a plethora of different content creators, but some of us were lucky enough to get some of the cards in advance with a letter from the Emperor basically saying, hey, do what you want with these, schmucko. You can go ahead and share them with the world at your convenience. So that's what a lot of us have been doing. You can check out all the cards, through Reddit, through Twitter, and whatnot. The discussion is out there. The ones that I got to release were the Hanabi Blaster, a mechanologist weapon, and the Powder Keg, which is kind of like a companion card for it. So check those out. The Hanabi Blaster was our reveal here at 983 Media and ISP, and we're so happy that we got to do that. For more on that, you can check the video. But yeah, cool card. All right, the Goliath Gauntlet is the big news of the week, of the month, perhaps, leading up to Worlds. We've got 16 of some of the best players for Flesh and Blood in the world who are going to be competing for some cash and some bragging rights. The Goliath Gauntlet will be live tomorrow, as in the Friday, as this is, we're recording this on the 12th, or this part on the 12th, and the tournament will debut, actually, on the 14th of October. We'll have 2 matches a day, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, every week, until this wraps up, so you want to check that out. So right here, 983 Media, sign up, subscribe, do all that other stuff that all the other content creators yell at you to do. Hit the bell, slam the like, and other stuff. All right, Fall Brawl in Columbus, the Battle Hardened in Columbus, is about a week and a half away. I will be there. I will be casting that alongside some awesome people like Derek, aka Charmer. Brendan Patrick's going to be there. I hear through the grapevine that all kinds of great people will be there. So you should also get your asses to Columbus. I promise you, you want to go check that out. Go to realmgamingnetwork.com or the Realm, and go check out the Fall Brawl, Speakeasy, After Party, awesome stuff. All right, friends, let's get to the episode. It's Mitch Leslie. It's Tannon Grace. Speaking Goliath Gauntlet. Let's jump in.
We're getting the tournament started with a Friday night showdown. The 2021 Canadian Nationals champion Yuki Lee Bender takes on the captain of Team Dragon Shield, Matt Rogers.
Can't just go all in every single turn and throw everything he's got at Yuki.
Then, the most consistent top 8 finisher in Fab, Isaac Crute, takes on 2021 Australian National champion, Aiden Dale.
This is going to be a situation where these attacks are going to be massive.
Join us for a YouTube premiere with a live chat on Friday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, midnight Central Europe.
All right, quick interjection here, ladies and gentlemen. I just want to give you an update as to what this episode had to go through to show up. Now, you're not necessarily going to see the live action faces of one Uber and Tannon because we had a little bit of a recording snafu. And I want to give some big ups to everybody who contributed some advice to try to rescue the situation, but ultimately it was Frosty, my boy Frosty, who streams out there on YouTube. Check out Frosty. He's a good dude. He's out there on YouTube and on Twitch as well at Frosty Plays, FrostiePlays. Give him a follow. Say thank you because he absolutely went through hell and high water to rescue a corrupted file, extract the audio, and give you this episode. So Frosty, this one's for you, buddy. Welcome to the Instant Speed Podcast. It is another episode, and again, I think this is almost a back-to-back for you, Tannon. You're slowly just becoming kind of like the Andy Richter to my Conan O'Brien on this one. Which
Sure.
is
Does that mean I have to be really quiet and sit on the couch off to the side?
No, well, you can always speak. I mean,
I can
like,
do that.
there was the Ed McMahon / the Andy Richter. There's Jeff, for those who remember that. Did anyone prefer Craig Ferguson by any means? Like,
He's fine.
I thought he was awesome.
Can I be the guy in the band then that has some witty lines every now and then with
yeah.
like sax, you know?
Yeah, well,
you
there was
you don't talk much, but when you do, it's way more impactful because you get like the one line per 30 minutes or something.
Nothing like me at all, but still, I'll take it.
Yeah.
you have to be like adhered. Your lips have to be completely adhered to my ass the entire time. Though that is the role of the band leader. You have to laugh at everything, as unfunny as it is. Like no matter what. Just the way it
To
goes.
be fair, I think if I had to guess that one of us had a musical talent, I would actually guess Uber, and I would guess drums.
Bass player.
Bass player. Okay, yeah. Sure.
Okay, so basically
So
you just
he actually
yeah, you load the bus. That's your talent.
Yeah,
Got
sure.
it. Noted. Gotcha. All right, so this is episode 53. I've got two of the brain children, I guess. Not that you're not the brain children. You are the masterminds, the part of the creation crew. I guess I can kind of fit myself into there as well. I'll steal a little bit of that.
You were there for it, yeah.
I guess so. I'll say that
be
as
part
well.
of it.
But I'm here for you guys. You guys are the spotlight. Mitch Leslie, aka Uber of Overwatch League, and now of the Goliath Gauntlet, as well as Tannon Grace of multiple wonderful casting gigs across various different titles. Poker Pro, Star, Awesome Dude, Backwards Cap aficionado. Unfortunately, the Braves did take an L today, but it's okay.
It's not over yet, but yeah.
Yeah.
Is that like the equivalent of having the flag at half mast? You turn the cap backwards if your team loses? Gotcha.
Yeah. I mean, it is a Braves hat, but yeah.
Anytime,
I like the way it fits better this way.
anytime Tannon's like, hey, you guys can start the recording early. I was all ready to start this recording when the Braves game was over, but I was like, all right, you let me know when the game's over, Tannon, you're ready to go. He's like, I could start early. I'm like, okay, there's no chance that they even have a comeback opportunity. No. Like, okay. We are here, ladies and gentlemen, because we want to talk about the Goliath Gauntlet, which is kicking off tomorrow, actually. We're recording this on the 11th of October, but when this releases on the Thursday, tomorrow you'll get your first licks at what the Goliath Gauntlet is all about. The three of us have combined together again. A lot of this is just us three saying that we want more flesh and blood, but we'll dig into that. I want to say hi to both of you. I love you both so very much. And now that we've kind of worked together, have some multiple reps under our belts. Tannon, how are you? This is baseball playoff season. I think it doesn't get any better than this for you.
Yeah, I'm a nervous wreck, honestly. I get out a lot during this time of year. If anybody doesn't know, I'm quite possibly the biggest baseball fan in the entire world. I have a favorite team, the Atlanta Braves. You may have mentioned this a couple times on the show. I think, I know you're a Dodgers fan. We had a little fun last year when we eliminated you from the playoffs on our way to being the defending champions.
Yes.
And stuff. So, and if everybody remembers Nationals from last year, it was in Orlando, where I wasn't on the show as much as I probably normally was. And if you heard me talking, it wasn't the same. I actually blew a vocal cord the week before Nationals because I went to the World Series, lifelong dream of mine, seeing my team in the World Series, and I wasn't going to miss that. And we took a little bit of we won the World Series, but I took a personal L. So I'm doing much better this year during the playoffs, and there's, the monkeys off the back, but I'm going to be stressed out. You'll see it on my Twitter if you follow me over the next few weeks.
Like, how are you not a Blue Jays fan, mate? What's wrong with you?
I know, right?
I am a born and bred and raised Montreal native. So
Sure.
we were born. It's like New York, Boston. You pick your allegiance, and usually it's your hometown, and you do not in any way, shape, or form root for the opposition. And the Blue Jays, obviously, there's no Montreal baseball team now, but I was there at all the Expos games when attendance was announced at 3,000, but it was that included the staff. So just saying.
Do you like the Nationals at all?
I do not. I do not. Okay. So basically what happened was when the team relocated, I gave them one season to try to be like, this is my team. But they completely I would have done it if they honored the past of the Expos but they reset all the records and reset everything. And I was like, so they basically erased the Expos out of existence. In that case, I said, I have a new team. And I even made this vow. I said, if Montreal gets a team back, which has been in discussion for a while, I would not be a fan of theirs. I am a true blue Dodger fan for a long time now, and that's my allegiance. That's where I live. That's where I do.
Fair enough.
Mitchell Leslie. Are you a Mitchell or are you just a Mitch?
I think legally I'm Mitchell. I don't think I've gone by Mitchell unless my mother is reprimanding me for something. It's fine though if you
when someone says Mitchell, he immediately knows he's like, oh no, I messed up.
Kinda, yeah. No, Mitch is fine, but it's whatever.
Well, we're a law-abiding podcast here, so we're gonna use your legal name. That's what we do. But it's great to have you here. You've been on the show before. We've discussed in the past your initial sort of introduction into Flesh and Blood and card games, but you're obviously well known. You are the heart and soul, in my opinion, of Overwatch League. You're somebody who has fans. You're a professional. You're one of the guys that makes Tannon and I say, damn, we're good, but he's fucking good. So it's good to have you on the show, buddy. How you doing?
Yeah, good. High praise, man. Thank you. I'm all right. Yeah, obviously things are getting busy in Overwatch League. We're getting pretty close to playoffs. I just came back from a quick trip to Dallas on the weekend where I covered a Houston versus Dallas game. It's always a bit of a spectacle in the Overwatch League. Yeah, it's like a battle for Texas. Always kind of hyped. So they flew me out for that. And right now we're just, I'm getting married in like a few weeks. I've got another kid on the way in like a few months. So life's busy, man. But always making time for Flesh and Blood and always making time for you, my guy. So
that's very kind of you. That's very, very kind. And just want to also put it out there into ether that when Uber was in town in Toronto to cast some matches, he did not come and visit.
Yes. There's a bit more to that story, though. I do like your framing of it, though. Very effective. Where were you that week?
I was out of town.
You in Toronto?
I was not. I was out of town. Details again. This is
Uber under.
Totally, absolutely. This is like Exhibit A of when you talk about getting the whole story. Yeah, that's the whole story because I framed that to make Uber look like a complete POS. But
you sold it quite well. I might just. I had to jump in and intervene lest my character be assassinated before we get off the runway.
It wouldn't have been assassinated. I would have picked you apart and let you rot day by day, but it's okay. So, all right. Before we get into the Goliath Gauntlet, which is the invitational, the 2K invitational that we put together, we want to talk a little bit about the new cards that came out. And, your first impressions, we'll start with you, Tannon, because you said you saw some of the cards and to you, it wasn't about, I want to dig into card X or card Y. You just have a great feeling about this in general.
Yeah, so overall, there's a couple cards stand out. Right? The Mechanologist weapon looks really cool. If you can make it happen, that looks extremely powerful, right? And it gives you, we saw, there we go. I was gonna say, almost as if I knew it was yours, right?
Right.
We've seen Aggro Dash do well. We saw Christian Hauck, top 8 the Pro Tour. It won a calling right before that, and then now it's kind of going back to defensive dash being good, right? So maybe that might be back on the menu, with boosting a bunch every turn. Specifically, there's some other cards that are super interesting. Like we'll see if that new shield for the Guardians is going to be. That one's a card that screams to me it's either going to be good or bad, right? Like I don't know if it's going to be in between. Like we'll see what happens there. But overall, so far, I'm loving what I'm seeing from the set. I'm liking that we're getting spoilers early. Like give me all the cards all the time, please. Love it. It's like Christmas early. But this is what I want out of a supplemental set, right? I want a high swath of stuff across all of the heroes, and I want impactful things that maybe aren't like, this is going to turn the meta on its head, but this is going to be little pieces here or there to fill some gaps, maybe give some new identities to hero or some new ways for them to play, and this is what I really, really want out of supplemental set, like Everfest did, but maybe a few extra heroes this time, instead of just 2 or 3 of them getting a lot of love.
The shield is like you said. To me, it's one of those pieces. I'm like, damn, it blocks for. It's got like a complete 6-block plus. Like if you can just get the counters off, I think that you need a lot of help for it to get counters taken away. Just the card that was shown, like the Guardian action with no go again, that costs 2, that says remove a battle worn token off of an offhand. I mean, yeah, that's fine, but that just seems like a very less than it's a lot of work, and it's less than ideal. I feel like there's gonna have to be a weapon, maybe that's not as awesome. Something that maybe is like swings for 3, cost 3, or swings for 4. Let's say like a Winter's Wail, but if it hits, you can remove. You can pay 1 to remove a counter or something like that, like something to help it. But one action card to help the shield doesn't seem good enough.
So obviously there's a few drawbacks to playing it. Blocks well, which is great. It's a red, so that's always a concern. Requires you to obviously keep a card to be able to play it. I guess if you want to get cute, I know like a lot of players will use Mage Master boots with like Tome of Findle, for example. Maybe there's like a reason to do that. You can obviously Mage Master and play that card off 1 blue. But in essence, you're taking a whole turn off to sort of play it. And we're spoiling 2 cards that work directly with each other. And I think the Season Savior might need a little bit more support than just like 1 card that corresponds to it. Ostensibly only in red. That means it might not be great. The Great Bow is pretty fascinating. On the face of it, looks like a Great Azalea card because, again, it's interfacing with the top card of your deck. But it doesn't have to. It allows you to peep at the top of your deck as well. If someone like Lexi wants to use it, it probably implies some deck building constraints there, as obviously she's quite dense with a lot of sort of elemental based cards. If she's trying to do any fusion, and obviously there are sort of non-attacks, Rain Razors, Art of Wars, and 3 of a Kinds and stuff that maybe don't gel with it really that well. But obviously a lot of that depends on what aim counters do. My instinct is that it makes stuff harder to block, in which case it seems great, especially if you're firing off cards with reload effects that help you get a wider turn. So the bow looks promising right now. The tiara is really interesting. The Rune Blade equipment, the 1-block blade break that says destroy and your rune chance of spell void 1. So pretty nasty. Obviously, wizards don't like to deal with that, but even in the mirror, especially for Viserai, like dealing with large amounts of rune chance, if there's going to be a way to sort of move back to Viserai stacking those rune chants, a la the OTK strategy, hopefully not as broken. That's pretty fun as well. And I think Sap's a really interesting card that introduces that new mechanic of Surge, right? Especially when, on the face of it, it says it has to do more than 3 damage to get the effect of removing an energy counter, which, we don't know if that is good, but obviously there was that Blessing of Aether card also previewed before even Yoji that said your next arcane damage effect does that much damage plus 3. So we're already seeing some ways to boost your outgoing damage from these wizard at actions outside of like having to use Crucible of Aetherweave in your deck. So overall, really interesting cards. Obviously, I didn't talk about the Battle Axe as a warrior player. It got us very excited, and then we read it, and then we were less excited. But there's, it's like Crucible, right? Crucible War also just a great set in terms of how it supplemented a lot of heroes and chain strategies. So I'm really hopeful. And my preview card arrives tomorrow, but I can't show it until the 1st of November.
Same,
Sucker.
by the way.
Suckers.
Yeah, I get mine tomorrow as well, and I have to sit on it. So yeah.
I just want to take this opportunity. So the Sandscour Great Bow, I'm going to call out Nick Bolas, aka Mike Toric. Which is exactly. Spam this Dick Bolas to root for Nick Bolas. I'm going to call him out because as somebody who got into the game on Ranger and really likes Ranger and has been trying to break Ranger forever, within the span of, I'd say 60 minutes, tweeted out this bow is trash and then this bow is broken. All within the span of 60 minutes.
It must be nice when people don't read your tweets, hey? You can just say whatever you want.
Whatever the hell you want. But we're paying attention, baby. We are the overlords when it comes to
accountability now, mate. It's coming.
Damn right.
You know what? Whatever one's right, he can just delete the other one now. He's playing perfect. True. He sees all the lines.
Smart lad. It's like when you go out there on Twitter and you'll be like, hey, remember when this happened and everyone said I was wrong, but I was right? Yeah, but remember the million other times that you were actually wrong and never actually brought that up again? Hey, we're all right. We're all wrong.
Mom remembers. Don't worry.
Damn right it does. Absolutely. Simple Ricks is just what you got to be eating, that copium. But the new cards look great. Every time that a new set is announced, I'm always like, you know what? Maybe I just buy 1 or 2 boxes. I can get the rest and buy the singles. But here it is again. The Marvels are gorgeous. The cards look great. there's this
I
random
wouldn't
chance.
know. I don't have one in front of me.
Oh,
unlike some
I got three. I mean, they're two different cards. I got the Marvel. I've got the foil Hanabi Blaster. I've got
Oh,
the
yeah.
my goodness.
cold foil powder
The
keg.
rich get richer, Tannon. Look at this guy.
Yeah, I know, right? I'm
Mm.
trying not to complain too. There's a part of me that's like, yeah, I'm gonna get some like unplayable common, but like I get a
Oh,
preview
I got
card.
told
So like
I will
yeah.
like it a lot. That's all I know about my card. Nothing
I
else.
know.
So-
Look, I actually know something about your card. Hold on a second. Just we'll give a little piece to everybody at home. Here we go. A little bit of a spoiler. It was something about your card. I don't know what it does or what it is. I know the rarity of your card. Do you want to know what it is, Uber?
Are you allowed to tell me?
I think so because I'm going to.
Well, just do it. Now we're here.
All right.
Yeah. I mean, wait for it because it's legendary.
Oh,
Oh, okay. Yeah. Now
At
I'm
least
fucking.
that's what I've heard. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty positive you got a legendary. So,
Well, stay tuned. YouTube.com/UberShouts.
Okay.
The 1st of November.
I don't know what the hell this is about. So when I spoke to some of the people who were in charge of like divvying out this stuff, they contacted me. They're like, "Hey, if there is a class that you really like or a hero that you really like, we want to make sure that you get something that."
Dollar got a ninja card, you know?
Okay,
It's a
so
thing.
my reply was, I said I love Prism, but my first love was Katsu. And they're like, we're going to hook you up with some Katsu/ninja stuff. I was like, hell yeah. Get the envelope, bust it open. What do I get? I get a dash card. Don't get me wrong. I am immensely grateful.
you got a great
This
card.
is
yeah.
phenomenal.
Gift horse getting looked right in the mouth right now.
Yeah,
Like,
I'm
checking their
looking
fucking
through it
dentures,
and I'm
you know?
like, where's the ninja? I'm like yelling into it like it's a Wendy's drive-through. But I don't even own any mechanologist legendaries. So I'm out there being like, I got to get a
guess I
Techno
gotta spend a
Foundry
lot of
heart.
money now. Yeah.
So-
Did you know what my answer was? And they were like, what is it you like? Like, what's your kind of thing? And I was like, I really like legendary equipment and fables. That's what I identify with.
That's the workaround.
That's what I really
Fucking
identify
guys,
with.
man.
So
Oh.
I asked them. I said, "Hey, I gave them the Tannon answer. I said, look, ultimately it doesn't matter, but if you do pitch a legendary my way, that'd be good." They're like, "Whoa, we only have a few of those, and we're not going to just waste them on anybody." And I was like, "All right, fine."
To be
Meanwhile,
fair, my last card was great. I got like a really good playable and a very good deck, so I'm super excited about that.
yeah, there's Mitch just being like, "Call me
Yeah.
legendary,
Legendary.
legendaddy."
Yeah.
Yeah.
All these Twitter followers I bought all those years back really starting to pay off now, boys.
I know, right?
Yeah. How did you Photoshop that little check mark next to your name? That's ridiculous.
Connections, my guy. What can I say?
need to-
Grandfathered into the verified program. This niche internet micro celebrity here, just getting his check mark.
What is it? Is it like F- celebrity at this point?
Yeah,
or
I'm
something
like, I'm below E tier. There's no doubt about
sure.
that.
Yeah, I'm.
What does that make me and Flake then?
Oh, you know what we are? You know when you're like reading the ingredients on something and then you get to like the ingredients which are just a color and a number? That's us.
No. Hey, in this, you
Orange
guys, in this,
437.
in the flesh and blood world, you guys are the guys, all right? Don't sell yourselves short. That's my job.
Until people get more of a taste of you. Yeah, okay.
No, look,
Oh, God.
I will say this. Mitch is good, but he's not me. That's what that listen,
Sure.
when it comes
But
to
who
it.
is?
Yeah, but ultimately, no, you're great. But I'm glad that you guys got cards and everything. The new set will be releasing shortly after World Championships. World Championships are around the corner, but I think that we've got essentially the preview of what World Championships might look like in terms of the names, the quality of play. The Goliath Gauntlet, for those who are unaware, will be on this YouTube channel, 983 Media. You want to find it there. Let's rewind a little bit, and when this kind of idea popped into whoever's mind it was. I don't know if it was you, Mitch. I think it was you who
I
kind
think
of.
it was Uber.
Yeah, I think it was Uber. And then we kind
Sorry,
of no, it's okay. But we kind of came together for it. But like, let's talk about that first conception when this kind of birthed in your mind.
Yeah, sure. When I started getting into flesh and blood, I consumed a disgusting and inordinate amount of content. Everything. There was some points literally where I would search like the hashtag FabTCG on YouTube, and every day I would list it by most recent, and I would just watch everything because as a father, like my ability to actually get out to armories and sort of play was pretty limited. That was sort of before Talishar as well. So I wanted to improve at the game because I'm like, if I'm going to spend time in this game, I really want to, make sure I put the effort in. Otherwise, I could just do something else. It's just the way I sort of approached it. So I went through a lot of content. I was really pleasantly surprised with just how much was available there for a game that was in its relative infancy, right? It's not been around for that long. and I loved it. I went back and watched a lot of the old tournament coverage and stuff like that. Obviously, I sort of knew you guys at the time, right? Tannon was the one that got me into Flesh and Blood. So going through that stuff, I was like, oh, I love this stuff. This is so good. But it was during a time, it was like mid Everfest, where I think there was no pro tours yet. Like we were coming up on that first pro tour, and it was like, I think it was like a Battle Hardened in Minneapolis. No, Minneapolis was a more recent one. Indianapolis. So we're coming up on that, and I'm like hankering for more competitive Flesh and Blood content. There's a lot of fantastic creators playing matches via webcam or by TTS. Obviously, we used a fair bit. But I thought to myself, at the time, and even now to a degree in the event calendar for Flesh and Blood for the actual tournaments, it's a little sparse. And there are tons of tournaments, but they just don't have the coverage, right? You have to pay for coverage. It's very expensive to get, to get yourself and Tannon out there to, or whoever to cover the games and all the setup required. But there were like people doing guerrilla coverage at their armories and stuff like that. And it was just so good for me to be able to watch that and hear the players talk and everything like that. And I thought, man, like, can we supplement the existing sort of Flesh and Blood competitive calendar by combining these two things, right? Combining these kind of webcam played games that there are some fantastic ones online of people just trying new decks and talking it out. Like I was like Armada and Red Zone Rogue and I mean, Flake, you and Rick were casting some stuff as well, doing some casted matches. And I'm like, all right, can we do that? But there are so many of these incredible players and personalities in the Flesh and Blood world that just may never cross paths because they compete in different regions, or these tournaments are just so big that like maybe you don't get to have those quote unquote dream matchups. The fact is that the scene's growing so quickly and there are new superstars rising up all the time. So that changes often as well. It's such a social game, and some of these players have become mythologized to a degree from their performances, and some of them put out content, some of them kind of don't, right? Like Michael Hamilton, for example, is a guest on everyone's podcast because he is just incredibly good at the game and has achieved those results, and he has a great podcast called M&L Show. But getting him in a matchup with like, I don't know, Tarek Patel or Yuki Lee Bender or Matt Rogers, like the possibility of putting these big names together for these like fantasy clashes really appealed to me, because I come from a scene where we want to lift up a lot of the names that compete and put the time in. So that's how this idea came about. I would say that I didn't get very far before you guys got involved, or I had to get you guys involved, because obviously there's just so much that had to be done. And I didn't have the network and I didn't really know how it all worked, but I just knew I'm like, I want to cast Flesh and Blood really badly. I want to be a part of it. I don't expect to be hired for events, especially with my calendar being as full as it is with Overwatch. But I'd love to do some as a side project for fun with you guys, with my friends, and try and create some really high quality content with top players going head to head. And I mean, somehow we're making it happen.
Definitely. And again, a lot of the help on that was because of you, Tannon. And when this took off, it was kind of one of those things where it's like, hey, I got an idea. And then everybody just kind of starts shoveling coal onto the fire. And it became this raging inferno of where we are right now. And we still don't know what the reception is going to be when the games actually hit the board. Yeah. But at the reception so far, just to the trailer, has been stupendous. It has been very inspiring. All the credit for that goes obviously to Mark Theus, who produces 983 and who owns 983 and takes care of that. But Tannon, when did you come in, and what were the first kind of impressions and the first, the first logs you threw on the fire?
Yeah, that's a really good question, and it's got a little bit of a lengthy answer. And it happened with, we have a group chat, right? Us three. And y'all two had the idea, and I think like I hadn't woke up yet, or I hadn't checked Discord yet or something. I see that there's like 10 or 15 messages, and I'm like, oh, what are the boys talking about? And then I see this, it's like what is it, the Nick Fury voice? I had an idea, there was an idea or whatever, and like y'all had this idea, and I'm like, that's really great. And one of the problems between the three of us is we're very like, what we do, we're the kind of people that something comes up, people point us at it and we do it, right? Or we're idea people. We're not the people behind the scenes as often as possible. Like, we're in front of the camera, not behind it. Like, if someone were to be like, hey, I want to do a big production for Flesh and Blood, I'd be like, cool, what do I have to do? And they're like, hey, can you help us with this stuff? I'd be like, I don't know how to do anything except for talking into the camera. Like, I can plug it in. Yeah, exactly, right? Like, yeah, right? So I was like, all three of us are idea men. Like 100%. I mean, like, I'm sure, Uber, you've done some stuff for Flake, you've done some stuff, and I'm sure I have as well. But I was like, you know what?
Lazy is, I mean, you can say lazy.
Well, yeah, I was like, one of us needs to actually get the work done. And I'm not saying that y'all didn't, but I was like, in my mind, I'm like, I love this idea. The space not only needs it but wants it, because there isn't that kind of thing yet, which there should be with the way that this game is and the way that it's trending. And so I think within the next 24 hours, I had already started like a list of players, like running names by you guys. And I contacted LSS and was like, all right, who do I need to talk to about this? Because we made sure to do this the right way, right? Like this took a long time getting together. Like we need to make sure we didn't step on any toes. We didn't do anything wrong. We did everything right. We display this the correct way. What can we do? What can't we do? Who can we use? Who can't we use? That kind of stuff. Who do we want to use? And then the timing of it got, I think was the hardest part was, like we had this idea, executing it when everybody's free was difficult. It'd be like, all right, well, let's go after the Pro Tour. We'll get the Pro Tour champion. And then everybody was busy with like traveling. And then we had the second Pro Tour. People were like out of town or out of country and stuff like that. And like at that point, we're like, all right, let's wait for the second Pro Tour champion. Let's make sure they get in, et cetera, et cetera. We had a lot of, stuff to work for from there. I had meetings with multiple LSS and people about like, what's the best way for us? Do you want us to display this? Because like the question of how do we display the cards became a question as well. And, we all agreed with LSS. We want to keep this as close to the vision of Flesh and Blood as possible with actual physical cards playing. And, we're like, here's an example. We have Hayden Dale playing in this, and he's playing against Isaac Cruz. So we have a Canadian round one playing against somebody in Australia in round one with physical cards. And that is so cool because that's two of the best players in the world. And, I have to go back and look at it, but I don't know if they've played each other yet before, ever. And we get to say that about a lot of the matchups here in this Goliath Gauntlet. So, like, we're getting to see matchups between, and this is something Uber struck on that I thought was the biggest thing for me, is we're seeing matchups that people have been fiending for and really want to see that we haven't gotten to see yet because we haven't had that small, intimate event yet where the players are destined to run into each other. And so we're going to get this, and hopefully it's not the last of one of these that we get to do.
Obviously, like the draw of Flesh and Blood is that anyone can make it to a top 8, right? So we're not trying to, take that away from the game, because I think that's one of the most compelling parts about it, is that you can turn up to an event, you do your homework, you come with the right deck, and you can go all the way. And that's why it's exciting, because there's always these new names that are bubbling up. So we're not trying to suggest that this is how Flesh and Blood should be, but we're wanting to offer an exhibition and incentivize the players for their time to show us some of these matches that we just might not get because of variance, because of logistics or whatever it is. Because I think it's fun, and we get a chance to talk through these matchups. And sometimes we can do these games at a pretty pivotal time as well. We want to try and do it maybe shortly after a new set being released, or before Worlds, or whatever, whenever we can sort of showcase the game in its current state with some of its best and most well-known players, then that's just kind of the vision we had.
I think it was in the movie, one of like Sylvester Stallone's like never necessary sequels to one of the Rocky movies, or was it Rambo? I don't know. But I think the whole concept of like him getting back in the ring was like, oh, what would happen? Like it was an ESPN thing where they did like a simulation of Rocky Balboa in his prime versus like some other boxer that was currently a big deal, and like who would win? And it's these types of fantasy matches that in your head, it's like Tyson Ali, like that never happened. It will never happen, but you can always have the debate, because in this case it's this fucking space-time continuum that would have to tear in half for that to happen. In this case, it's just a matter of connecting through having a reason to connect through the internet and have somebody on the other side of the world playing from tomorrow, playing against Isaac Cruz, who's living in Dave Ruud's basement, like that kind of thing. So
but I mean, isn't it like, that's why we don't want to like offer this. We don't want to make it about the prize and winning it. So it's really important for us that we incentivizing the players for their time and offering them a modest prize pool to compete for, because we're all busy. But we don't want to create this invitational only event with this ridiculous offering, because we want to try and find something that's mutually agreeable for us and for the competitors, so we can have an exhibition, Like
the thing about this that really people need to understand is that we're not here. This isn't for the people playing. Like
Yeah.
this is a commune. This is a
They're
communal
helping
effort.
us out.
Exactly. This is us teaming up with them to give something to you. There's a prize pool because first of all, the prize pool. What people might not realize is that a lot of the prize pool is out of pocket, and it's sponsored a lot by Mitch, who is putting up ponying up a lot of this. And I know that you didn't want to be a focal point about this, Mitch, but people need to realize just how passionate and generous you are in this regard because it's true. And this is a passion project. And in the same regard that a lot of people are like, well, why didn't you like the criticism for this, which has come through, is that perhaps some of the players that we're featuring, there's people that we could have had, or could, why didn't you feature this, or it's so much this. People, please, yeah, please, it's valid, but it's a 16-person bracket, and Tannon, I mean, like you've heard this, and you had a pretty good response to it.
Yeah, it's like my favorite is, like, why didn't you use this person? And my response to this is always like, look, your opinion's valid. It's very likely that if we do this again, that person will be used. They are very worthy. Who am I supposed to replace? Like, who do you want me to take out of this? And then tell me why you think they don't deserve to play.
Like, what's the merit for having certain people in? I think one of the criticisms that we got is like there's not a lot of Europeans in this tournament, which is completely fair, and it's something that we obviously want to rectify in the future. You'll notice that we have a few players that are more known as content creators than competitive scene grinders. And a part of that, I'll just be completely out there about it, is because we can guarantee that the footage they get to us is high quality because they've got setups that they use frequently for their own content offering. And they're also like, they're also like community figures, they're helping us to a degree with that reach as well. And also, I mean, maybe many people wonder how their, favorite YouTuber would go. This is another fantasy kind of idea. So, it's hard to like make it clear what the premise of this is, right? Because it's pretty new and, at a glance, some things may not sort of line up, but ultimately we just want to create a cool piece of content that people don't have to take that seriously. Some of the lists that have been registered are not, I would say, super serious. Some are, and that's fine. What we were really hoping for is to give these pro players and our content creators a reason to turn up and play their best and give us their time and give you guys something as well, a supplementary bit of flesh and blood content to, whet your appetites coming into big LSS sanctioned events like your Pro Tours and your Worlds.
Yeah, I want to say something else about the players too. Specifically, start with something about the content creators. When I think of like Armada, Red Zone, and Doa in this event, like they're all very good flesh and blood players in their own right, but they don't compete at the highest often as practically everybody else in this event. All three of us into that as well. And like I've actually played games against Armada and Red Zone, like from early on when I was like learning the game till now, where like I compete when I can. And I remember them both just playing circles around me, like outplaying me in multiple levels. And like in a game of Flesh and Blood, and you feel like, oh, that game was close. But then there's games where like my opponent had a fundamental understanding of this game that I did not. Like I felt worked in this game, whatever. They're very good players in their own right, especially with like their heroes that they work a lot of time on. And I love the fact that they're getting a chance to show their chops against some of the best players in the world. It's unfortunate that Armada and Red Zone randomly got paired into each other round one, but hey, at least we get to guarantee one of them into round two, which is really, really cool. And then overall, for all of the players, I want to say this. So I was the one that was like charged with, since I knew all these people personally, like charged with reaching out to these players and getting hold of them and getting them like confirmed to the event. I never got a no from a single player. In fact, every single person was extremely excited. And the first thing I got from every one of them was, yes, I'd love to do this. Never a question of what's in it for me. And then they had to be told that there was something in it for them. Every single one of them would have done this for free for everybody at home, just to have this cool thing for everyone. But I was like, oh, by the way, we're paying you for your time no matter what, because that's a big thing in the thing. Every person competing in this is getting an appearance fee, plus we're having a prize that they're playing for. So we want to make sure that everyone, is compensated for their time and effort into this, because, like Uber made it a big point here. He wants to make sure that we're getting good flesh and blood. People are trying, but they're not afraid to lose as well at the same time. They may try out something. Hey, I really wanted to play Rhinar, but like I haven't had the guts to register it at a calling. Because we saw somebody register Rhinar in this event that I didn't think would do that kind of thing. So I'm super looking forward to all that stuff, and I couldn't shout the players enough at how awesome they've been and how, look, coming from Magic, putting together anything has been extremely difficult at getting players to either respond to you, all work
Go to
together.
dinner. Just go to dinner.
Dinner is the worst.
It's the worst.
Like, if someone says, "Hey, where do you want to go?" Like, if you can see it, we're going there. All right.
I've seen you guys in your chat trying to figure it out when you're at events. It's just, through the FOMO, I at least have the satisfaction of knowing you guys couldn't organize a piss up in a brewery when it comes to dinner.
Yeah, exactly. And it could not have been easier by these 16 people. And I can't stress enough how you guys saw I got a little stressed putting this together. Like, it was a month where I was extremely stressed and like kind of lashing out at times about some things because I had some other stuff going on in my personal life as well that was making me a little agitated. And this went way easier than I thought it could be. Our sponsors, absolutely great, and came in huge for this event as well. So make sure you're checking out Kayfabe Cards, and they sponsor you as well. Flake, make sure you're checking them out. I actually know the owner and the people that run that company. Top-notch people for all the games across all TCGs.
And they came in and matched that prize pool that was already there, which is huge. So huge shout out to Job and the crew over at KFAB Cards. It's
and like
awesome to have them a part of this.
Yeah, they play the game as well. You've probably seen the jerseys. They've got some big name players on their team. You know, Dalen Mack, Austin Yost, Brian Basoko. I think they have a fourth player coming up, but I don't want to ruin that just yet. They haven't announced that fully. So they've got some other people and Jonathan Job as well, who's like a lifetime friend of mine, and they're great people. So make sure you check out their website. And if you need anything, I mean, I've ordered from them before, and I was astounded at the quality and the quickness at which I got my stuff. So.
Yeah, Job is a great human being. I met Job in we got well acquainted in Vegas at the team event, and it was one of those things where, you know, upon meeting Job and just getting to know Job, Job was like, "You're a good person, and you are now like you are under my protection, so to speak. Yeah. Like you're like you're one of the crew. Like it's
Job is an entourage. He takes care of all of his people.
He's just like, dude, if I like you, like you're like family, and that's how I felt with him. And he's been sponsoring the podcast for quite a while now, and he sponsored this event. So please, I know that you hear this a million times on podcasts and on other media outlets, but please check out kayfabecards.com. If you're looking for a single or whatever or anything, give them a look. They ship all over the world, and they're good people. And even if it means spending a couple extra bucks, supporting them is huge because they have supported this community immensely. And the biggest, example of that is the fact that they're just like, yeah, you guys are having have a good idea. Here's some money to reward the people who are making this happen. And like you mentioned, Tannon, it's not just us. We are maybe the catalyst at the beginning of this, but if it wasn't for those 16 people, and that list of 16 was like a list of it started off as like a list of like 25, and we were just
that was the hardest thing.
It was impossibly difficult, and this is what people need to realize is that we didn't just say these are the 16 and that's it, and we're not considering anyone else. It's that we had a list, and we wrote a list of people, and we're like, all right, let's go down the list and write the yeses and nos. And the first 16 people were 16 yeses, and everyone after that was like, well, we can't. We legitimately just can't bring on anyone else. Does that mean that we don't want anyone else? Absolutely not, because Goliath Gauntlet 2, which I would stress to say is likely happening, gentlemen.
Make sure you check out Kayfabe Cards, because that'll definitely help ensure that we get a second one.
Yes, that's true. There's going to be other names, and we'll have our defending champion come in. Our Goliath Gauntlet winner will come in and defend their championship. We'll have new names involved. I know that people have sent so many names to me and said, "Why didn't you include this person? Why, like Bartosz Niemba, like of Poland? Poland in general,
Lee, for example,
exactly, and
like Maciek Janik as well.
Plenty.
A lot of Florian Christian Logan as well.
Dude,
so many.
There could be a whole Polish side of the bracket if necessary. Like they're nuts. But we had to do
a region specific one. Like maybe we'll do like Europe and America, and then we'll have like the top 4 of each of them play. We got some cool stuff in the works. I don't want to spoil everything for everybody, but if we get to do this a little bit more next year, which is the hope, and hopefully we'll be the first one out with the new set with Dynasty with some new stuff. Hopefully. Like, we'll see. I might need a break after this. I might need to sleep for a month after doing this of all the sleep that I've lost over it. But we've got some flexible stuff that we can do with this, because we don't always have to follow this exact layout every time as well.
So if LSS wants to just buy us out.
Yeah, sure.
By all means, we'll work it. No problem.
Yeah.
They're just
We've got the infrastructure in place.
come on in, no problem. But I know for a fact that Mark Theus from 983 has been so jonesing to make a fingerprint on Flesh and Blood. He's had hand in so many different games. He's run the esports for Mythgard for cards, the World War II card game. Just runs the entire thing. Gwent, done Magic tournaments, done a ton, and he's like, I've never done the Paper Realm, and let's do it. And what really got me horny for this was when we approached him, or when I approached him, and I was like, listen, do you want to do this? And I gave him a little bit of the ideas of what we're doing. His reply was, hell yes. We will. He's like, I'm going to embarrass the hell out of every production. I'm gonna make this look good. I was like, all right, well, embarrassing. I mean, like, you don't need to go down that route. He's like, no, we're gonna make this look really effing good. He's like,
he meant that with all due respect.
Oh, definitely.
Obviously.
No, definitely. Yeah. I always say this. I always say that, like, Mark is somebody that is probably one of the most behind the scenes, behind the curtains, influential people in sort of grassroots esports that if you've seen community tournaments or small scale card game tournaments, he's had a hand in a lot of it. And he's been a friend of mine for 5-6 years. And it's somebody that I know that, like, I work closely with him, but I mean it. I think that 93 has really, this is going to be sort of a coming out party, at least in the Flesh and Blood world. It's already done good content for a while, and this tournament with the people involved is going to be great. And I know that you and I, Mitch, already have a few matches in the books. We're not going to spoil who or what or results, but your first, give us your first dibs, your first sort of a little bit of your first impressions about hitting the booth and casting some Flesh and Blood.
It was great, actually. It definitely felt like an extension of the kind of conversations we have about the game anyway. So in that sense, it was pretty smooth sailing. There are some more esoteric matchups in the Gauntlet by nature of the tournament. So so far, nothing too rough to jump into. I thought we had a bunch of fun. I mean, Flake's already dropped one D's nuts joke, so you kind of know what to look forward to. But people might be wondering, like, where is this? How is this working right? I mean, it's on the 983 channel over on YouTube. We could pop that. I mean, you're on the channel already if you're watching this video. So, but we're doing it sort of from the 14th. So 14th, 15th, 16th of October, 2 games a day, right? We're going to be premiering them at different times. So keep an eye out for that. And then we'll do it the next week as well. We'll be having sort of 2 games a day over 3 days there. So we've got to, obviously, there's a fair few of these round of 16 games to get through. But Friday, Saturday, Sunday, that's the kind of cadence we're going for this first round especially. So look out for that. You'll be able to, you should subscribe to the channel, also get notifications, hit the bell, and you'll know about it. So we're releasing them in sort of, we're going to premiere them in batches of 2. So hopefully you can hang out with us in the chat while we're premiering those games, and we can discuss my inability to remember what Rosetta Thorn does. It's going to be
Were you nervous doing your first match of Blood? Yeah.
Let me tell you something. I have cast in stadiums of tens of thousands of people for esports. Yeah. I still shat bricks my first Flesh and Blood cast. I'll be straight up. Yeah. That's awesome though, right? That, like, you can still, it's not just like, oh, this is just another job, like whatever. It means it matters. It means it matters.
Right? Yeah.
Dude, that's what I was saying. Like, on the surface of it, you could suggest that I wanted to create this tournament so I could cast some Flesh and Blood, and you wouldn't be far off the mark.
Hey, that's how I got into the business. I got into the business because I wanted to do casting and stuff like that. So we, myself and Nick Bolas and Mark, made a Gwent tournament way back when in Philadelphia at local host, aka Nerd Street. And brought in, we did a local LAN. We funded it ourselves. We went broke doing it, but we had a good time. And the result of it is I got an audition with CDPR for their stuff. So this is the thing. You want it? Go get it. Am I the only person who did it
the traditional way of having it fall on my lap and just get very lucky?
Yes.
Is that the traditional way of doing it? No, I got very lucky. Is
that the traditional way of esports
as well?
Is that the traditional thing of esports?
I mean, you all, to be fair, you have the background of like a pro player in Magic, especially. So that definitely goes a long way. The closest thing we have to a color caster, I think, in Flesh and Blood at the moment. But yeah, I mean, I just, really, because I sort of knew it. Like, you got fantastic casters already for LSS's events for Flesh and Blood. And I was like, man, I ain't trying to like force myself in there, but I love to
Right.
custom games with my friends and have a good time. So I'm really happy that our passion actually has a manifestation to it sort of so far. And I mean, I don't know, some of these players are insane, man. I'm really excited seeing like Pablo Pintor play on his side of the bracket. Seeing matchups like Yuki Lee Bender versus Matt Rogers, like just insane. Two people obviously from far-flung corners of the world who are just incredibly celebrated in their own right playing the game. So to say that I'm excited would be a gross understatement. And yeah, it's very fortunate how this has all sort of come together. And hopefully it just makes sense to keep doing.
Hey, I know that I did make a D's nuts reference on the broadcast, but Mr. Girth over here, yeah.
We get a counter in the corner, like how many of them we get.
Well, he said it was a very girthy attack, I believe you mentioned.
That's where it came from, or
it was in reference to certain decks wanting to go wider than others.
Yeah.
I
see where that's going.
I cast a game that's basically Pixar characters running around. A lot of the fans are younger, so I have to really toe the line. But so as soon as I start casting a game that's maybe catered to a more mature audience, then maybe some of that rough
on Disney Channel at one point.
We were on Disney XD for
Did you ever did anything ever cross the line? Anybody ever slip up a little bit on the Disney Channel?
On the Disney channels? I don't know. I mean, I haven't sworn on air in a Overwatch broadcast yet, but many of my contemporaries have.
Yeah, I've been lucky not to do it. I was doing a live broadcast once where they told us not to swear, and my co-caster dropped an F-bomb, and I just froze for like a solid 3 seconds.
Like sworn on air, haven't you, mate?
Yep.
What are you talking about?
That?
Tell me what that Luminaris do, my guy.
Well, I'm just saying that the strategy employed by the Aura Prism is not so much a girthy attack, as you would put it, but rather death by 1,000 cunts is precisely what I said. Of course I said it.
Pick up on
it. Out. Yeah.
They'll figure it out.
My favorite part. So like here.
It was live. That was live.
Yeah, it's live.
Yeah. Well, we give everybody a little behind the scenes thing. So that was I think you and Brian Gottlieb were doing that round, if I remember right. And so like I'm out of the booth, like doing some work, doing whatever, or like I'm not in the literal booth, like I'm not even physically in the area. And so the round's over, so I start walking up because I know that I have to relieve somebody. And I walk up and y'all are taking headsets off and you're red faced and you're both just laughing. And I can't remember if it was you or Gottlieb. And one of you just goes, or you just say I said, or Flake just said the C word on air. And I'm just like, it takes me a second. Like I have to let that wash over me, understand what you just said. I'm like, how did that come up? Like how did we get to that word?
How does that just wend its way into back and forth conversation? Yeah.
Well, listen, the more I get...
I'm not saying I've never done that, so...
It was my friendship with an Australian that just put that into my vernacular at a very frequent clip, apparently.
Yes. Look at this.
You hear that word more often than normal.
That
word does not happen in America.
I've been told that it's a sort of a term of endearment, frankly. Am I wrong about that?
Well, no.
It's like the F word here. It's wide ranged, right?
Yeah, no, it is definitely. I mean, I've used that word to greet my brother on multiple occasions. However, even the most rough around the edges Australian probably realizes that certain rooms aren't to be read in such a way. So, try and keep a lid on it. But yes, if we get in game, or if we're playing some Overwatch, or if we're screeching, then it might come up.
It's possible.
I'm very wholesome, though. I'm very wholesome. Don't worry.
I say some stuff in Overwatch that I would never say on camera.
Hey,
y'all can cancel me probably.
You slay. This is what the world needs to know, is that when Tannon goes into like he goes full Winston rage mode, like on whatever DPS he's on, it is just over. Like, get out of his way, because he will tell you that he just slayed. He'll be like, I just absolutely just tore this entire, like, I just created a brand new entry into their bodies. You're
softening it so much. I'm very impressed.
Well, I had to. Mind you, there is always that legendary clip of when you were working out on your Twitch stream, and I was like, hey, who's the best? Am I the best Rhine player? And then you're like, oh yeah, my experience with playing with you is F this and F that and F this and F that. And then I checked the kill feed, and it's you just fire striking like 4 people. I was like, yep. Sounds about right.
Checks out. Yeah.
A great release for that pent up stretch, isn't it?
So what you're saying overall is maybe not in the quality sense, but this show, the Goliath Gauntlet, might be a little looser than what we've
Oh, definitely.
come to.
Hey,
Yeah,
when
less buttoned up. How about
certainly,
that?
and when I told Mitch that my favorite band was Girth, Wind, and Fire, that's when it kind of just was. I'm like, all right, it's one of those shows, frankly.
I don't know if I could keep up with you two. I'm like way too sportscaster, like college football guy. I'm like way too buttoned up, so I might have to like really loosen up a little bit and try not to force it.
This is kind of like you've got, you got to. Mitch and I is like having Connor
We can't let
McDavid.
y'all together too much.
No, you can't.
By the
It's
way.
like Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl on the same line. I know that you guys have no clue what the hell that means.
I went way over my head.
But for the hockey aficionados, you know what I mean. You got to split up that talent. You got to spread out the scoring. You got to put it on two different lines. It's too much.
It's kind of what we do on the show already when we do LSS work. But yeah.
Well, look, the U.S. Nats, we did not cast a single game together, did we?
It did kind of feel weird not to work with you or Armada that weekend. It just kind of worked out that way. I think at Worlds we're gonna mix it up a lot. I have a
It's not
feeling
uncommon to have like more solid pairings for stuff like that. But if we,
it's good for the show for sure.
To relate this to what we're doing with the Goliath Gauntlet, especially after the first round, we're really hoping to fold back in a lot of our competitors as guest casters as well. So hopefully they'll have the availability, we'll have the opportunity to do that. But that will add a little bit of spice. And people like Matt Rogers, while it would require him to lose to be freed up to get into the booth, obviously has done that before and has been excellent at it. I think you put anyone like Brendan or putting Matt Folks in the booth would be an experience. We'll see how that goes. But
get the button ready. Get the button ready.
Yeah, 10-second delay on that broadcast.
I got the. Yeah, I have to use that on him.
For sure. Well, that first bracket, like you mentioned, it's Yuki Lee Bender versus Matt Rogers. Either one of those two, frankly, would be great to have in the booth. I know that Yuki is somebody that has always, her name has kind of always wheeled into discussions about bringing new people into the booth as kind of like the expert. Like you mentioned, there's no true color caster because they're all still playing. They're all still out there gaining the experience and slaying, right? But Yuki is somebody who I've said, I'm like, dude, bring Yuki into the booth. And every person that I've spoken to or mentioned to this, I said, assuming she loses or doesn't make day two, which is not going to happen. Yuki's going to be there day two all the freaking time.
Yeah, but we're kind of shackled by that, the fact that she's too good for her own good sometimes when it comes to that, doing the extracurricular stuff that we'd like. But.
Pretty much. All right, gentlemen.
Is there anything I think we kind of covered it, right?
No, we've basically just gone through it, and again, just we'll close up shop here, but. The main thing that we got to take away from this is that this is not a for-profit thing. This is basically a passion project that we've all come together to bring to you.
Wait, are you getting paid? Because I'm not making a dime.
I ain't getting a dime for this. All I'm getting is I'm getting social credit for
Uber's being real quiet over there.
I don't know what do you want me to? Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
I don't know
what's going to happen.
This
is what's going to happen. The first matches are going to come up, and Mitch secretly slid Mark these like G Fuel commercials. It's like, slide these in. We need these in here. And
you got a betting site running on the side, and you just got the results ahead of time.
Use the code Mitch5 Uber15 to get 15% off of your caffeine fuel mud garbage, and then get an erection that'll last until Christmas.
I do solemnly swear that there will be no shenanigans like that involved, from me at least.
All right. A halftime show performed by Girth, Wind, and Fire is what we'll say. Easy. All right, friends. Thank you so much for tuning in. Again, keep in mind that the Goliath Gauntlet premieres here on 983 Media, on YouTube, on the Friday of October 14th, if I'm not mistaken.
My birthday.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, it's going to be a good birthday present, seeing that go up finally, our little brainchild.
It's going to be great. So it'll be Friday, Saturday, Sunday are going to be the releases of 2-pack of games each day. You want to watch it. If you have any questions, comments, things like that, please leave them here. Tannon, sign us off, buddy. Where can we find you besides, praying to your Atlanta Braves shrine?
A rough day for that. Anyway, you can find me on Twitter under the Tannon Grace. The easiest way to find me. You will probably see a lot of baseball tweets over the next week, hopefully longer. Hopefully you're subjected to it more. But we do have Worlds coming up. I'm trying to be more active on there. I've been a little more shying away from social media as I get older because, like Uber, I have a birthday coming up, not as soon as him, but I am getting older and kind of pulling back a little bit. But I'm trying to be better about, posting photos and, hey, we're going live for this and stuff like that. So, and this is making me like have to do it more. So check me on Twitter, the Tannon Grace. You find everything on there.
How about you, Uber? Besides just you're in some sort of like you're in an actual studio. Like it's beautiful.
Chained to the
What do you
Overwatch
mean? It's
desk.
my damn office. Which
Yeah.
is my office, mate. Yeah. Yeah, you'll find me obviously sat here eating some bland chicken and rice meal, or over at Twitter at UberShouts, or on the Overwatch League, which is Friday through Sunday, starting at 12 PT over at youtube.com/Overwatch League. And that's about it. And you're going to be finding me, of course, on the Goliath Gauntlet coming up real soon. I cannot wait.
What an interesting sort of contrast in terms of like there's Uber like professional studio with his noise canceling foam walls that you'd find in like a insane asylum. You've got Tannon is just completely bare. Like it's nothing going on.
I
And
just moved. Like
He's
literally just
transitioning.
moved.
yeah.
It's a transition in life here.
And
Yeah.
mine looks like what you see when you open like a Storage Wars locker. It's like just like,
You look
everybody
like every
bidding on this.
LGS. You look like every LGS that was opened in like the early 90s.
Oh,
Yeah.
for
Like this-
sure.
All the what is that Silver Age, Gold Age comics, and then just stacks of cards
Yeah.
everywhere. And the one random dude who can answer your question about literally everything ever.
Yeah, I've got like spectacular Spider-Man like 427 with a holographic cover on it that I'm trying to pretend is worth something. That's basically it. All right, friends. Thank you so much for joining us here on Instant Speed. And don't forget Goliath Gauntlet premieres tomorrow. Check that out. Friends, you're not losing if you're learning. We'll see you next time on Instant Speed.
Well, I work